orbitals and mm, the electrons. It's because when there are electrons in an atom, in a chlorophyll molecule, there are atoms, right? Atoms have nucleus, and the orbitals and the orbits. So if this is first orbit and this is second orbit, electrons here have certain energy. When the light rays come and hit the electrons, they can absorb energy and they will jump to the next level. If the energy difference between this orbit and this orbit is, let's say, 10, then the electrons are able to absorb the energy coming from this wave. If it is 10, then it will absorb and it will jump to the next level. If let's say this energy coming from light is 20, then it will maybe go to the third one. So but what if this energy radiation is only 5? That energy is not enough for this electron to jump and go to the next level. But then what is happening only if the electrons are jumping from one level to another level? What happens is when electrons absorb energy coming from sun's radiation, light energy radiation, they jump from one level to another level, but they have so much energy, and that energy is making them out of place, feel out of place, or they're out of place. And whenever there is anything in nature which is not natural, it will try and come back to the natural state. So this excited state for this electron, after gaining that energy from the radiation, has moved it from the natural state, and it has become unstable. Remember, in nature, anything that is unstable is trying to come back to stable state. So the electron will release off that energy in the form of heat, and it will go back to its natural state. So that is how the electrons which are present in the chlorophyll molecules are made to absorb the energy coming from sun, and they jump to the next level, and they do not like being in an unstable state, so they release off that energy that they have absorbed from sun's radiation, and they go back to their original level. So this energy that is coming from sun, captured by one chlorophyll, released by them, is given to other chlorophylls, and it is passed on. So energy now is traveling in the form of heat or photons or fluorescence, absorbed by chlorophylls and passed on by chlorophylls. So this is the ability of a pigment molecule. So what are pigment molecules? Pigment molecules are those molecules which have the ability to absorb energy coming from electrons and capture it, pack it around the electrons, and boost them from their ground state to the higher state. And electrons, when they're in the higher state, they are unstable, so they're trying to come back to stable state, and for that, this excited electron has to release energy, and that released energy is now in the form of either heat or light, which is passed on to the very next chlorophyll molecule. And that is what these bunch of chlorophyll molecules which are in the thylakoid membrane are going to do. They have the ability to absorb energy from sun and release it in the form of heat or fluorescence light. So coming to light reactions which are taking place in the thylakoid membrane, remember that the energy is captured by chlorophyll molecules and energy is traveling. It will reach the special pair of chlorophyll molecules in this purple protein called photosystem 2. So this energy which is passed on from this single chlorophylls, it will be given to the special pair of chlorophylls in this photosystem 2. And when photosystem 2's special pair of chlorophyll molecules absorb light energy, what they do is they pack this energy around an electron and shoot out the electron. So this time electron is literally shot out, it is released out. So this now energized electron is accepted by this molecule called primary electron acceptor, and this primary electron acceptor, which has accepted the energized electron, is unable to keep the electron for very long time, so it is grabbed away by plastoquinone, which is greedy for electrons, and cytochrome complex molecule, which is more greedier for electrons, more electronegative than plastoquinone, is going to take that electron away. And then the same thing happens, plastocyanin is going to grab the electron away from cytochrome complex, and then it goes to the electron goes to the special pair of chlorophyll molecules in photosystem 1. This is photosystem 1. And this electron is again energized by the energy coming from sunlight and relayed by all these chlorophyll molecules, single chlorophyll molecules in photosystem 1, and they are accepted by this primary electron acceptor in photosystem 1. But then ferredoxin is greedy for electrons, so it will grab the electrons away. But guess what? NADP plus reductase enzyme molecule, which is more greedy for electrons, it will take away the electrons from ferredoxin, and it will give those electrons to NADP plus. It will add a hydrogen atom to it, hydrogen ion to it, not atom, and then it will make NADPH. So the electrons, which are energized and shot out by the primary pair of chlorophyll molecules here in photosystem 2, they go through this chain of molecules and end up with NADPH. So this is how NADPH made or regenerated during light reactions. Guess what? If there is a hole in this primary, I'm sorry, not primary, the special pair of chlorophyll molecules in photosystem 2, then there will be no continuation of this process and no NADPH made anymore, then there will be no photosynthesis. So someone should replace this hole of electrons. The water molecules, what they do is they have hydrogen atom and chloroplast, thylakoid spaces, they have enzyme, and the enzyme will break down water molecule into hydrogen atoms and oxygen atom, and take the electron from the hydrogen atoms, and these electrons are given to this special pair of chlorophyll molecules in photosystem 2. That is how the deficiency or the gap or the hole in the special pair of chlorophyll molecules is filled. So who donates the electrons to special pair of chlorophylls? Water molecules, hydrogen of water molecules. So that oxygen that is released during this process from water, the two of them will combine and they make oxygen, and this is how oxygen is released. So remember, water is taken in, oxygen is released. Electrons that are coming from water, they travel through, they take energy from coming from sun through all these reactions, and finally they are energized and given to NADP plus. NADPH, the energized electron carrier, is waiting for enzymes in the stroma to use these for making sugars during Calvin cycle. Okay, we have followed the yellow arrows, but we did not talk about the red arrows. So let's see. As you can see, there is movement of hydrogen ions from stroma, which is outside the thylakoid, through cytochrome complex into thylakoid space. Yes, when energized electrons are jumping, they're releasing energy. That energy released is going to activate cytochrome complex to pull hydrogen ions or pump hydrogen ions from stroma through cytochrome complex into thylakoid space. So remember, this is pumping. Energized electrons are causing this movement. So this is pumping, which is active transport of hydrogen ions through cytochrome complex. All these hydrogen ions, they can pass through cytochrome complex towards inside into space, but they cannot go back through them. None of these molecules, neither these electron transport chain molecules, electron transport chain 1 and electron transport chain 2 molecules, none of them allow the hydrogen ions to go through them. Phospholipids, because they are lipids, they do not like anything with charge, so hydrogen ions cannot pass through them either. So what do hydrogen ions do? They are getting collected in thylakoid space. So again, there is ATP synthase, a nice molecule which is in the thylakoid membrane. It will allow the hydrogen ions to diffuse. Guys, this is energy less process, not required. Energy is not required for this process to happen. So energy is not required. So they simply diffuse through the channel that is provided by ATP synthase. When these hydrogen ions are flowing through, they activate this catalytic part, the enzyme part of ATP synthase molecule, and the flowing energy, flowing hydrogen ions is giving energy, so it is called proton motive force. And this is process of diffusion of hydrogen ions through ATP synthase is called chemiosmosis. Does chemiosmosis occur in photosynthesis during light reactions? Yes. What does it do? Chemiosmosis during photosynthesis, during light reactions, will diffuse or allow hydrogen ions to diffuse through ATP synthase. Hydrogen ions diffuse from thylakoid space through ATP synthase to stroma. What does this do? It will allow ATP synthase to join ADP with inorganic phosphate. I'm sorry, to add inorganic phosphate to ADP or join ADP with inorganic phosphate and regenerate ATP. ADP and phosphate are already there in the stroma, guys. So these are light reactions. Where do light reactions occur? In the thylakoid space. What do they use? Light energy, water molecules, and all these things in the thylakoid membrane. So if you take a little part of the thylakoid membrane and magnify it under the electron microscope, you can see that this is the little part that is magnified under electron microscope. So you can see that it is made of phospholipids, and in this phospholipids there are proteins and molecules which are purple or lavender in color, and in these purple colored pumpkins or peppers, which are in the phospholipid bilayer of the thylakoid membrane. They're not pumpkins or peppers, guys. I'm just making it up to give you an analogy how they look. These purple color protein complexes, they are called photosystems. Photosystem 2, photosystem 1. They are made of proteins. These photosystems have chlorophyll, single chlorophylls in the light harvesting complexes, and a special pair of chlorophylls in the reaction center. So each photosystem has peripheral light harvesting complexes and central reaction center. Reaction center has a special pair of chlorophylls and a primary electron acceptor and other proteins. Whereas the light harvesting complexes, which are surrounding the reaction center, in each photosystem are made of proteins. The purple part is proteins, which are trapping the single chlorophyll molecules. So this is inside the chloroplast. This is thylakoid membrane. In thylakoid membrane, there is photosystem, which is made of proteins, and these proteins have trapped chlorophylls. So guys, don't think that entire leaf is green. Leaf is made of cells. It is the cell is made of cell membrane, nucleus. They are not green. Entire chloroplast is also not green. Chloroplast is again made of membranes. Stroma is also not green because it does not have chlorophyll. Thylakoid membrane is also not green. Where is it green then? Why does it look green? It's because in the thylakoid membrane there is photosystem, and in the photosystem are the trapped chlorophylls. This is the reason why plant looks green. Make sure that you play this video again and learn all the steps in the light reactions. You need to know all of it. You need to know this electron transport chain 1, starting from water till plastocyanin, electron transport chain 2, starting from photosystem 1 to NADPH. And these electron transport chain molecules end up making NADPH. They capture light and use water and make oxygen. But ATP is made because of the chemiosmosis part, which is diffusion of hydrogen ions from space through ATP synthase back to stroma, which makes ATP. So this is how NADPH and ATP are made during light reactions of photosynthesis. So all the notes about photosystem, what it is made of, is there. Just wanted to let you know, guys, that two types of photosystems, photosystem 1 and 2. Yes, there is a difference. In chlorophyll A, there are two types, P680 and P700. And remember, chlorophyll are of two types, chlorophyll A and B, right? That is a different thing. Chlorophyll A is the only one which is required for photosynthesis. Now coming to chlorophyll A, there are again two types. Chlorophyll A, which is required for photosynthesis, which can carry out photosynthesis. It is of two types again, P700, which is found in photosystem 1, P680, which is found in photosystem 2. Now what is the 700 and what is the 680, right? These are the wavelengths of light which are used by these chlorophyll pigment molecules in the photosystems. So P700 is that pigment that is best absorbing the wavelength around 700 nanometers, which is towards the far corner of the red light, means lesser energy. And photosystem 2 has chlorophyll A, which will absorb the light rays from 680 nanometers of the red part of the light only, but it has a little bit more energy. So less wavelength, more energy. Okay. Again, the notes are given very clearly here. That is how the redox reactions occur. Electrons jumping from more electronegative to, less electronegative to more electronegative molecule, and they are energizing the chlorophylls, and the energized electrons shot out and finally reaching NADPH, have captured the light energy and converted them into chemical energy, which is stored with NADPH in the form of energized electrons. But during this process, proton motive force has created some ATPs as well. So this is a process that I explained, how photon strikes the chlorophyll molecules, and how the special pair of chlorophylls will shoot out the electrons, energized electrons, and the primary electron acceptor accepting it, and all that. Try to fill in these questions, guys. This is not extra credit. This is just for you to know. How the photosystems uses captured energy to drive the synthesis of ATP and NADPH. Now I want you to pause the video pause the video and try to explain that entire process that I covered. And this is the picture that you guys are using for your extra credit. Guys, I need you to draw this entire thing in the gray part of the slide. You guys are drawing this entire thing for your extra credit, this entire thing. Okay, you don't need this, you don't need this. Okay. Photosystem, parts of photosystem, different types of chlorophyll A's in different photosystems. Now energy is associated with NADPH now, guys, and ATP. So the key is that the flow of electrons will transfer the energy to ATP and NADPH during this light reaction. So remember, guys, there are two components here, electron and energy, right? Energized electron ended up with NADPH, but only energy that is released by jumping electrons is captured for making or regenerating ATP. Remember that part? Light reactions are of two types, linear and cyclic. Linear is the one that we just went over in the drawing that I asked you to draw for extra credit. Remember this path of electrons, photosystem 2 to electron transport chain 2 to photosystem 1 to electron transport chain 2. So let me show you where exactly they are, okay? Guys, the electrons are going from photosystem 2 to electron transport chain 1 to photosystem 1, then to electron transport chain 2. So photosystem 2, electron transport chain 1, photosystem 1, and electron transport chain 2. That is the path. Just remember that. Okay. Yay! We understood how energy is converted from the form of light coming from sun to chemical energy. That's a huge secret, guys. It's amazing to know. Just imagine if we can do this in human beings.